Hi, I'm Michelle Werdeman, and I help people create their dream life by asking powerful questions, better questions, through mind, balance, and wellness living. You'll get clear about what you really want by achieving emotional freedom and strengthening your relationships. Through my foundational coaching and 19-year certified financial planning background, I guide you through your circumstances, thoughts, and feelings and show you how to take actions that give you the results you want. Contact me today at mbwliving.com to schedule your free 30-minute discovery call. Hello and welcome to the Boot Camp for Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Werdeman, certified life, weight, and career coach and certified financial planner. What is up, my friends? I am so excited to be here today. I took a little bit of time off from recording, but super happy to be back because I have so many amazing things to share in these upcoming weeks that I cannot wait. And I don't know where you guys are tuning in from, but holy moly, it is chilly up here in New England. I mean, I guess it's winter and everything, but you know, it's pretty cold, and we're getting ready for a storm this weekend. They say we could get anywhere from 2 feet to 3 feet of snow. So that should be interesting. Who knows? It could even actually be rain. So we'll see. But I don't mind snowstorms. Kind of gives me an excuse to just snuggle up at home with a fire, my TV, my wine, and something like warm and yummy in the crock pot. That always makes me happy. And my kids love playing in the snow. Now that they're a little bit older, which my son is turning 9 in a few days, makes me so sad. He's getting so big so fast. He does still love to snuggle, which makes my heart happy. Like, he's such a snuggler. If you know him, don't tell him I said that. And my daughter, she's 11, which blows my mind. She's almost 12, end of March. But like, you know, too, like about her, she's a young 11. She's very young and, it just, you know, she's not trying to grow up faster than she is, which makes me also so very happy. But anywho, now that they're older, they will actually stay outside for longer than 5 minutes. Like, I think a lot of you guys can probably relate. Like when your kids were like really little and they were first really experiencing, you know, the snow, they would be outside for less than the amount of time it took to get them dressed and undressed. Because God forbid they be cold, we would cover them up and you could just basically see their eyeballs. So, now they actually will stay outside. And it's funny because they always get hot chocolate when they come in. And I swear when my daughter was little, she would just go outside so that she could come in and get hot chocolate because she would be outside for literally 2 minutes. But I was on to her. So yeah, I'm so happy to be back recording. You know, I had an idea the other day and it came from the fact that it was National Compliment Day, which I didn't even know was a thing. Like, did you know that? I had no idea. They seem to have a day for everything these days, which I'm not complaining about. I think it's great. But it got me wondering. I was like, is this going to be, you know, January 25th, I think was the day. I was like, is this from now on, like every year it's going to be National Compliment Day, or do they start fresh every year? I have no idea. But it did get my juices flowing. So it made me think, like, for me personally, I love giving compliments to people. I give them to strangers all the time. I remember, you know, I'm Catholic, so 1 year for Lent, rather than giving something up, I made it a point to compliment a certain amount of people every single day, because who doesn't like to get a compliment, right? And, you know, it makes me happy to make somebody else happy, so why not? So then I was thinking, I'm like, well, what about complimenting yourself? Like, I was recently attending a networking event, and one of the things the room of attendees was asked to do was to speak up and give ourselves a pat on the back. Like, we were asked to tell the room something that we were proud of, something that we could celebrate. And I thought this was such a great exercise. I actually do that with my coaching. We start with something that we can celebrate. But when was the last time you stopped and gave yourself a compliment? Or like took a minute to give yourself praise for something you were proud of doing? Most of us don't do it enough. Like, why? And I think a lot of times we feel awkward giving ourselves praise, whether it's in front of people or, to ourselves. Like we feel guilty or maybe a little bit embarrassed to acknowledge our own success, even for the small things. Like, heck, if you got up and you got dressed and here you are listening to me now, like, job well done, my friend. But I want you to take a minute, like, to really think about something that you've done that took courage, it took strength, maybe determination, a little bit of sacrifice. Whatever it was that made you feel good about yourself that wasn't easy to do, congratulate yourself. Like, look in the mirror, as Mel Robbins says, give yourself a high five, pat yourself on the back. You deserve it. And we don't do it often enough. It's easier to look at our faults or mistakes or something we didn't do than it is to look at the positive stuff. And it does not serve you to look at your faults, your mistakes, and things that you aren't proud of, because you'll just create more of those, right? So like the results in your life come from where your focus and your energy goes. So if you're thinking and focusing on the negative things or the things that you lack or the things that you didn't do, you'll just create more. And, like I said before, one of my favorite exercises I work with my clients on is identifying the positive things. So we start each session off by celebrating. Like we identify what great things happened, what's working in their life, what things are going well, because by doing this, it allows us to use these positive outcomes to help work on the things that maybe aren't working. It's really just how you think about it, right? So be proud of yourself. Think of all the things that are working and how you can use those in the areas in your life that you may want to change. But what got me thinking was, I think what I want to do is start incorporating this practice and some celebrations into this podcast. So number one, hopefully it prompts you to stop, celebrate something that you've done when you're listening or after or even pausing it. And then I want to share some of the great things that are happening in my life with all you guys. So I'll start now. So this past weekend, I had an amazing workshop that I hosted. It was a 2022 Vision to Reality Mastermind. And I can't tell you, I smiled for days after. Like, it just made my heart happy. It was the first time being back hosting a live workshop since February 2020. And you know what? It felt amazing to be with a lot of like-minded people. The energy in the room was really warm and friendly. People were happy to be out. The restaurant that we had it at was beautiful. The food was beautiful. Just everything was beautiful. There were familiar faces there. There were some new faces. I loved all the faces. It was just really nice. And it was nice to be able to share my tools, talk openly and freely with one another, share our own experiences, and talk through strategies of how to create and turn a vision into reality. And I thought it was great timing. One, because it was the middle of January, and usually, as we all know, resolutions, most of which don't last, some last a week, maybe 2 weeks, whatever. I thought it was a great time to forget about resolutions, but also offer tools when you do want to make a change. A new year is a great time to do that. But with resolutions, when you stop them or that, they don't work out, there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of self-judgment when that happens. And when you have shame, guilt, and self-judgment, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to create positive results, right? So I like to coach on how to forget about resolutions, create long-lasting changes to create whatever you want. So that's what we did. And it was just super amazing. I already can't wait for my next one, which is April 23rd. And it's all about spring cleaning our minds and bodies. So stay tuned with more details on that, because I think what I'm going to do this time around is offer a virtual. We're going to do in person, but I will have a virtual option for those who cannot be in person, as I have many clients that are actually spread throughout the country. So I want them to be able to experience all of the awesomeness. Yay. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about authenticity and vulnerability. And I was recently asked a question while being a guest on a radio show and podcast called Powerful Woman Revealed with my good friend Nicole Perry. She's actually on iTunes and Podbean, and you can get all of those interviews there. But one of the things that Nicole asked me was, what is something that I'm doing well in my business right now? And without hesitation, I told Nicole it was showing up as an authentic person, like someone who isn't afraid of showing vulnerability. And for me, as a coach, as a mother, a friend, a wife, showing up as my true self is really so important. Like, I don't try to pretend to be somebody I am not. I probably did that back in high school. Actually, I most definitely did that back in high school. But not anymore. And I've been very open, even in this podcast with my struggles with anxiety and panic attacks. And man, have I come a long way in those areas. But I think when we show up, when we are authentic with one another, we're allowing others to do the same, And Brene Brown, who, if you're not familiar with Brene, she's an American research professor, author, and lecturer, has spent years doing research into shame and vulnerability. She has an amazing TED Talk and documentary on Netflix. I highly suggest checking her out because she is so great and she has studied these subjects for so many years. And she has some really great quotes. And one of them is, she says, to be vulnerable, it means to show up and be seen, to ask for what you need, to talk about how you're feeling, to have the hard conversations. And I just love that. And another one she has that I love is loving ourselves through the process. My dog is making some really crazy noises right now. He is sleeping and sometimes he howls. So excuse me for that. But yeah, so let me just read that again. Loving ourselves through the process of owning our story is the bravest thing we'll ever do. That just gives me goosebumps. And I think showing up in the world as your true self, owning where you're at, experiencing what's going on, having compassion is so important with the human connection, right? I'm sure this has happened. I know this has happened to me, but I'm sure this has happened to you at some point. Have you ever found yourself in a situation with other people, maybe it's something that's scary or stressful, and you kind of look around and think you're the only one that's feeling that way, or maybe thinking whatever it is that you're thinking. And then somebody says out loud exactly what you're thinking, and you're like, oh my God, me too. I'm so glad I'm not alone. You immediately start to feel better, right? Tony Robbins has a great quote. It says, if you're in your head, you're dead, which I love that because it is so true. I joke about the 3 a.m. scaries all the time. When you're just lying in the dark, not sleeping, thinking about everything under the sun, everything always feels so much worse when it's 3 a.m. and you're just literally stuck in your own head. I have been there, my friends. But it's true. When you start to share and you can be more authentic with other people, you're not only helping them, but you're helping yourself. So for me to be able to share my experiences, show up as my true self, I feel like I'm inviting others and helping them to be theirs as well, because it always feels better to not feel alone in something. So, sometimes people will look at vulnerability as a weakness. In my opinion, that can't be further from the truth. Being vulnerable, asking for help, showing a side of us that may be struggling can be scary as shit, right? Boy, have I been there. But what's the upside to hiding or pretending or not showing up as yourself? When you are authentic and you have vulnerability, you can gain courage, you can create change, you can learn something new. That, my friends, is some serious upside to showing up as your true self. Don't be afraid to be you. Ask for what you need, ask for what you want. Like, life is too short not to. Wouldn't you agree? I think these last couple years have taught us that, that's for sure. So yeah, I encourage you as you go out and about in your day, try to see how you're showing up. Are you being vulnerable? Do you ask for help? And if not, why? Think about what it is that you're thinking about or feeling, because again, what we think creates our feelings. And why aren't you? And how can you show up? Because I guarantee you're not alone in what you're thinking. You're not alone in what you're feeling. And there's some serious upside potential for being your authentic self, showing some vulnerability, because you can only grow from there. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, my friend. I am going to go get ready to make sure we have things for in case the electricity goes out. I'm losing the name of the word, but you know what I mean. Generator. Yes, generator. That's what, gonna get all that stuff ready. So glad we got a generator instead of a snow plow this year because, well, we're gonna have 3 feet of snow. So good thing I have kids. Just kidding. But yeah, have a wonderful day, my friend. Cheers and be well.
Michelle Werdeman is a certified life coach, now offering an online coaching membership to support brain power and mental wellness. It's important to exercise our bodies, but we have to exercise our minds too. Our thoughts are what ultimately create the results in our lives. And becoming aware of our thoughts is what we dive into through her Mind, Brain, and Wellness program. You can start to create your dream life today from the comfort of your own home and at your own pace too. Contact Michelle today at mbwliving.com.